that song, "When I Grow Up, I'm Going to Be an Old Woman." I am, and I am grown up. I was born in 1938, and at that time, food was a lot more healthy than it is today, not genetically altered, and the animals weren't shot up with steroids and hormones and tranquilizers. I grew up before television even. I was 12 years old when we got one. And then shortly after that, I really did have fresh food growing up, but shortly after that, television, we got those little TV dinners and TV trays. And we used to sit and watch television and eat. The one good thing I have to say about those TV trays is that they were little compartments with small portions of food. Today, that would seem absurd to a lot of people because everybody's used to supersized food. And I know that my mom was very concerned about feeding us healthy, and food at the time, the pyramid chart was very different than it is today. And I think everybody here must know that it's talked about everywhere that we need to eat more fruits and vegetables to be healthy. And it was about, I guess I've been a vegetarian for about 40 years. And the reason it happened is I was eating a piece of roast beef one day and I realized that I was eating an animal, not just something that we called meat, but it was actually a living thing before. From that moment on, I could just never eat it again. I was just finished. That was it. And I went home. I'm the mother of 4 and the grandmother of 7 children. And I went home and told my children that we were going to be vegetarians. Excuse me. And they were very willing. They loved animals and they understood what I was talking about when I explained it to them, and they were very happy to be vegetarians. And we were not vegans at the time. We ate cheese and milk and dairy products and eggs and so forth. But when they went out, I told them they can have whatever they want. And I was very concerned about my children's health. I was a working mother. I used to come home and prepare fresh foods. I've never been into processed foods. I've never thought that was a healthy way to eat. So I've been very healthy basically my whole life. I think I've eaten basically healthy foods. And but as a vegetarian, I know that you can eat lots of things that aren't really healthy for you or keep you slim. There's pastas and lots of desserts and sweets, and I really feel that the more processed food that you eat, the less nutrients you get and the more food you want to eat. I think the foods today that are packaged and processed are very addictive. And I don't think a lot of it's really our fault because we're busy moms and we're working career women and we grab food that's very quick. Even though we try to eat healthy and we know we should eat healthy, I really do feel sometimes it's hard to transition into a healthy diet. I even know for myself, being a vegetarian, I lost the same 20 pounds for 20 years, 20 times. I'd go on a diet and then I'd gain it back, and then I'd have some event to go to, or I'd have a wedding or a reunion and I'd take off the 20 pounds, and when it was all over, I started back at my regular eating again. And I'm sure so many people have been on some diet or another. And I know that everybody really wants to be healthy. But it's so interesting, since I won this Sexiest Vegetarian Over 50 contest, which is so funny. And actually how that happened is I was on my Facebook page with my 100 little friends and families all over the country, and I saw there was a little advertisement on the side of the page, and it said, "We're looking for the Sexiest Vegetarian Over 50 in a nationwide contest." So I entered it. I didn't tell my boyfriend, I didn't tell anybody. I just thought it would be fun. I didn't even think more than just entering. And I sent a little application in, and I sent a photo in. About 2 weeks later, I get this 5-page application asking all kinds of questions about my lifestyle and my life. And then about a week later, I got a telephone call on speakerphone. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm being considered for one of the finalists. I was really kind of, now I'm telling everybody that I entered this contest. I told my family. And they asked me on that conversation if I would send in my birth certificate or some proof of my age, because they didn't believe it. And the truth is, I really have never thought much about my age until I passed a mirror. Once I got mature, I felt, pretty good. And at that time, my diet lifestyle, which I'll tell you about, was very different than it was many, many years ago. So then I find out I'm one of the 10 finalists. Well, I had sold my business about 2 years ago, and just to retire and travel with my boyfriend. And I really was enjoying my life, tending my beautiful award-winning cactus garden and being able to do things around the house, improvements. And we went to Italy for 6 weeks. We really traveled and had a great time. And I felt very, very content. And then I get this call that I have won the contest. I was the oldest one in the contest. I probably worked on my side, and most of the women in there, in fact, all the women were young enough to be my daughters. So I was very honored and very surprised and very delighted that that happened. And the first thing that happened, even after I was first nominated as one of the 10 finalists, I started to get media at my door and telephone calls, people wanting to talk to me. And they're asking me my longevity secrets. Well, I'm 72, I'm almost 72 this year. I don't even think about that I'm old, that I've lived long enough to give people longevity secrets. But it seems to be that somebody in their 30s and 40s thinks I'm old and I'm ready to give some secrets. I'm looking at those women who are doing yoga at 90 and people running in their 80s, and to me, that's what I look at. I want to know their longevity secrets. But I guess to some people, I'm kind of up there because I'm my age and I still can, walk, and I don't wear diapers and whatever that's expected of us. And I do color my hair. I'm a little salt and pepper, but somehow I like this blonde hair when that gray was coming in, so I could actually not have to go to have it colored so often. So that was my blonde hair. I think that this is really important, actually, that I'm out here, and I feel really blessed to be so, because I've become really passionate about trying to change dispel the myth about aging. I know so many friends I have that are going through, they're in their 40s and they're starting their menopause, and they are frightened and they think things are over after that time. And I'm here to tell you, it's not. I have a whole new career. I'm writing a book. I'm out on the speaking circuit. My Facebook fan page went from 100 to 5,000. I've just opened up 2 new pages, two new Facebook friend pages and a fan page. And people ask me questions from all over the world. I feel like every morning when I get on my computer, I'm having a party with people from Kazakhstan and Tunisia and really everywhere. My videos from some of my TV appearances have appeared on YouTube, and it just kind of spread out. It got viral, as they call it, and it's everywhere. And so people are asking me amazing questions. Well, the one thing I do know, I'm not a doctor, and what I do know that because of my health concerns for all these years, I've read hundreds of books, I've read thousands of articles. I'm very fascinated with health and fitness. And even though I was a working person, and I must say I didn't look at everything I did, I was a real foodie on top of it. I would go anywhere for a good chef and a good meal. Even though I was vegetarian or vegan, I would try to follow that wherever I was. And I've always loved great, great food. Well, I went to my doctor, and I find out that my blood pressure was high and my cholesterol was high, which really surprised me. And I actually, a few weeks before, started to feel these little kind of joint pains and little arthritic things. And so I went for my checkup, and he wanted to put me on blood pressure medicine. And I decided I didn't want to follow the footsteps of my family. Now, my mother, I believe that genes are a small part of everything, but I don't think it's everything. My mother lived to be 95, but she had everything typical of someone of old age. She was very spirited and wonderful, but she was taking, a handful of pills, drugs every single day, not knowing what most of them were. I have 2 sisters, one who's 84 and one 2.5 years older than I am. They're both overweight. They both have had cancer. They both take 60 pills a day, diabetes, name it, our family has had it. And I just knew I didn't want to do that. So I was very happy eating the way I did. And like I say, I gained 20 pounds here or there, and that would be about it. I never really got much more than that. But it seemed like I was constantly dieting, and many times I felt really, really unhappy about my weight and focused on that. So after I left the doctors, I went home and I started to search that wonderful old Google. I love it. It's got everything in there. Sometimes it could be confusing, but you have to read a lot to learn. And I saw something that really fascinated me, and it was raw food. And I thought, carrots and celery sticks, I don't know what they're talking about. So I kept researching and reading, and it sounded really fascinating to me. And it said it brought down blood pressure, took care of depression, fibromyalgia, some forms of cancers, diabetes. There were these success stories that I thought were amazing. So I made a call to my daughter, who felt like she was not in her best place and needed to lose quite a bit of weight, 50 pounds, 55 pounds. I asked her if she wanted to go on what I found was called a detox. And it was green drinks, juices with vegetable and fruit in it. and vegetable salads, no oils or nuts or seeds or anything like that. That was a detox to detoxify your body from any impurities. Well, I've decided I can do anything for 7 days. So I did this detox with my daughter, and by the time the 7 days were up, I was looking at my skin, and I was like, all these little diamonds in my skin that my mom used to have, and I used to look at that when I was a young girl and say, oh, that's what old age is. They were gone. My skin looked completely different. I really feel that after a month or so on eating these raw foods, and I didn't stay on the detox, but a month on the raw foods, I really felt years